FM. We're also streaming from that SuperTalk Mississippi app and your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station. And don't forget, you can watch us too. We are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. Now, if you've been paying attention to women's sports here in Mississippi, you know that our collegiate softball teams have been showing out. And Miss Leigh Streetman, she is the head softball coach of Mississippi College, is joining us today to talk about their run at the NCAA tournament, but also just the sport in general. So welcome, Leah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And congratulations. This is the third consecutive season that your ladies there at Mississippi College have made the NCAA tournament. That's no small feat, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we've, I guess since 2023, we made it in 19, and obviously 20 got canceled. But yeah, we are trying to make a consistent thing to go to postseason every year.
Well, and I feel like, Leah, that it just headline after headline, and I recognize right now it's postseason, just talking about Ole Miss making it to the College World Series for the first time for softball, and then I just saw where Colin softball wins a second national champion, and it feels like just headline after headline, and you guys were part of that a couple weeks ago. It's just our softball teams at that collegiate level are just rising to the next level. Are we just now reporting on it more because we've got such a great news team here, or is it really that our Mississippi softball girls are just getting better and better?
I think it speaks to the involvement of the sport as a whole. I think it's awesome that the state of Mississippi is thriving in women's sports in general, but softball getting the acknowledgement that it's getting has been huge, and it just brings more awareness to the work and resilience that the student athletes are putting in.
Well, and I think that's something, if you've never had a softball player in your family or gone and watched a softball game, that sometimes gets overlooked, is the hard work that those ladies put in. Equal amounts in terms of the great, baseball players and all that, and very similar in terms of the work ethic that has to go to be a competitive player. I'd have to say that for sure. How did you get into softball, Leah? Where did your story start with it that got you to Mississippi College?
So I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama. My sister played growing up. My dad played slow pitch, so I've been around it my whole life, and started playing when I was 4 years old, and I've really never looked back. I was not particularly good at a lot of other sports, so I just kind of stuck with softball, and then I started pitching whenever I was 7. So I just kind of ran with it, and I knew it's what I wanted to do. So that's what I put all of my eggs in one basket.
So where did you start your coaching career?
I actually coached at UAB for 2 years after I finished playing as a volunteer assistant, and then went to a junior college in Alabama, Southern Union Community College, and then took a coaching hiatus for probably about 9 months. And then I got the call. One of my good friends, Mackenzie Scher, was coaching at MC. And she said, "Hey, the pitching coach is leaving. You need to apply." And I was like, okay. I don't know what MC is. Never heard of it. Never been there. And I called Coach O'Hare, and we set up an interview. I came over. I was coaching a travel ball team at the time. We were playing in Brandon, and kind of met her, talked to her a little bit. And then me and my dad came back over for an interview in the summer of 2017, and been here ever since.
And as well, just getting better and better each year. So what is it like, or what does it take to sort of grow a team from maybe not making the tournament each year to then that becoming something that's kind of expected out of the program?
So in 2020, after COVID kind of took a hit on, I feel like, all athletics, all people in general. Mm-hmm. And so after that, we kind of put an emphasis on person first, athlete second, and creating value within our team of whether you're a starter or a non-starter, you're going to have value, and you know your importance. Like, you know that your role is important. And our team bought into that. We bought into that wholeheartedly. And I truly believe that that changed the culture of MC softball. Us not making postseason in 2022 really stuck with our returners in 23. And that was one of the best years of MC softball, still to this date. And I think that us kind of revamping what we were doing and how we were doing it changed the avenue that we were going.
Do you feel like young girls now look at college as making softball as a collegiate career, like more and more opportunities for that, is what I'm trying to say, than maybe there once were? Are more schools getting softball teams, I think is what I'm asking.
Yes, I do believe that. And I think that from an academic standpoint, that also plays a big factor in where kids decide to go to school. And obviously finances. but academics play a big role in that of what they want to do. You got a lot of doctors and PT, OT, PA, a lot of people that want to stay involved with athletics whenever they're done. And I think softball is one of the sports that allows kids to kind of do both. And so it helps move kids in that direction.
And there at MC, I know they have high academic standards. A lot of kids choose MC for the academics there, as well as, obviously being able to play their sports. How do you balance that? I mean, stress enough for student athletes like it is, no matter where they're at. And
right.
Of course, all student athletes should go on to the collegiate level to also get their degree. But in the real world, many do choose Mississippi College for that next level. So how do you help them kind of balance all of that, Leah?
We tell them all the time. I was not like this as a player, unfortunately. I was athlete, student, but we preach to our kids student athlete. And so obviously school takes priority over everything. And there's been times where we've let kids leave practice early to go to a study session for their class. We hold academics to a very high standard. And it's actually one of our core values on the team of maintaining at least a 3.4 GPA as a team. And we've done that, I think, just about every semester that I've been here. I think the lowest was maybe like a 3.3. But they do a great job of balancing both, and we make sure that that's a top priority for them.
In terms of like recruitment, how many, or is it different every year? I don't know if you like roll off. I know at least within like, the grade school, you have grades that obviously graduate and then come in. I'm assuming it's the same in college. So how often are y'all looking for like the next positions, or college teams looking for those next positions?
I think it's different with every school that you go to. I know this year we graduated 4. I'm sorry. And this next year we'll graduate 6. But it really just depends on positions. If you have season-ending injuries, just kind of what you need. If you need experience in one position or another position, then we always say a roster's never full until it's full. But
what is a full roster for softball there at Mississippi College, or in general?
We've typically averaged between 17 to 20. This year we're actually going to have a roster of 22. So we'll have 13 returners and then 9 newcomers. So very excited about the depth that we're going to have. But yeah, it just kind of depends on your needs for that given year.
I know in other sports you hear of players coming from all over to play here at Mississippi for different things, particularly in terms of men. Is it same with women? Are y'all getting young ladies traveling from different states to come play or come choose Mississippi for their athletic opportunities?
I believe so, yes. We've got quite a few Louisiana kids. We've got a kid from Indiana right now, and then we've had a kid since I've been here from Michigan. So I think kids are drawn to MC. You don't realize how special it is until you come visit, and I think that's one thing that sells a lot of people, because it truly is a family atmosphere, and that's what sells MC. It's just a special place, and you don't realize that until you're here.
It is a cute little town, too. They're nestled in Clinton. If folks don't know where Mississippi College is, you guys are right there in the heart of Clinton. It's a beautiful campus. That's where Rhino went. But I don't know if he went to too many softball games or not, sort of at the time. But just softball in general, man, it's just growing here in Mississippi. Do you find that the pool of athletes within our own high schools is feeding into our college programs?
Yes, I absolutely believe that. The junior colleges benefit greatly, which then in turn benefits us as well, because they're obviously looking to go to a 4-year after that. But we get kids out of Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, kind of all the South. But yeah, I think every school is benefiting greatly from the kids in the state of Mississippi.
Is it harder or easier to coach kids that come from all different places that maybe don't have the connection that when you think back like to your high school kids? I mean, they've known each other, some of them have known each other since, kindergarten, right? And they've kind of worked together. But in this scenario, I mean, they may have never met before or have that sort of, is that a good thing, a bad thing, sometimes an all of the above thing?
It's honestly the most fun part of the job, because you have so many different unique personalities that are coming in, and it's our job to make sure that they're all one unit. And truly, you meet your best friends in college, and I think that a lot of people believe that and buy into that whenever they get there. I think it's so much fun just because you have so many different personalities, and you're trying to learn each and every one of them individually, and so that's the fun part.
That's the fun part, too. Trying to get there, too, is the fun part. Growing in the sport from, like you said, from 5, 6 years old, T-ball, all the way up to college. We've got more with Leigh Streetman coming up. Don't forget, you can watch us, too. We are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. We're continuing our conversation with Leigh Streetman. She is the head softball coach at Mississippi College. They made the NCAA tournament for the 3rd consecutive season. You may also be waiting to watch Ole Miss as they make it into the first, I guess, the World Series for the first time ever, which one day we'll see Mississippi College there, right. Sort of also. But even you earlier, Leah mentioned, like, seeing that breaks the glass ceiling, right? Like, that just provides that window that says, hey, to the girls here, it's achievable. You can do it. And that makes it a reality for players and coaches, I would assume, too.
That's right.
Yeah. So even though it's like sucks to see that, you didn't make it to that next, it's like really cool to see Mississippi just rising up in this level of softball. So where does it start for all these players? Are all these college softball players, are they all starting at T-ball, like in terms of rec, or where are they getting introduced to the sport of softball primarily?
I think it just depends on the kid, honestly. Sometimes it's T-ball, sometimes it's coach pitch. Sometimes kids don't start until they're in high school and they
really
just are late bloomers, but they develop really quickly. With solid coaching. And then, you got some kids that grow up with a baseball background, and it really just depends on the kid and, I guess, what their parents choose to do.
What makes for a good softball player? Like, what are those, like, skills or, I guess, mental and physical that make them, when we start getting to that next level, like college level, that stand out in terms of other players?
Versatility, being able to play different positions. If they're coachable, and just how they carry themselves on the field. Those are probably 3 things that I look for most whenever I'm out recruiting. Seeing that a kid's coachable is probably the biggest thing, because if they're willing to learn and adapt to things and listen to what their coaches are saying, then they're probably going to do really, really good things for you. Athleticism, a lot of times that's natural, and sometimes a kid can be unathletic and be really good at softball. And then just being versatile. Like, we like to recruit kids that can play other positions. We had a kid a couple years ago that came in as a middle infielder, started right field for us, and she was an All-American her freshman year. So versatility is big, especially when you're willing to do what's best for the team.
I'm going to play that back for my 5-year-old who cried when they moved her from first base to third base, Leah. In fairness, there's not a lot of plays that are happening at 5 years old on third base, but we're going to work on the coachable part with that one. But I think there's probably a lot of parents, Leah, that listening to Good Things, or grandparents, that are happy to hear that you could be late bloomers. I would say in some of these larger school districts, you feel like if you don't get your kid in at 5 or start them with a travel ball immediately, then somehow they're going to be left in the dust in that way. And then also in some of these larger school districts, particularly here in Mississippi, you can still do all those things and get left in the dust in terms of your high school career, because you mentioned 22 ladies. If there's 400 kids in a graduating class, math is math. I know they're not all young women, but can you still find your way to being competitive for a collegiate level if, say, it's just not working out for you to make your high school team for whatever political reason may be going on there, or whatever reason in general?
Absolutely. I think there's kids that have played travel ball specifically and not played high school because maybe the coaching situation is not ideal, or maybe they're just not growing and getting better as people and as an athlete. I think that's definitely attainable for kids to do. It just depends on the situation and what work are they willing to put in to be able to make that happen.
So in terms of recruitment, Leah, you don't just necessarily go and watch high school state championships or look at like necessarily high school rosters. You guys are taking into account all the different avenues in which a young woman could find her way playing softball.
So in Mississippi, obviously the public schools play in the spring. I can count on 2 fingers the amount of times I was able to watch a high school game this year, and one of them was when we were finished playing, and the other one was we so happened to finish practice early. We were leaving the next day for conference tournament, and I was able to go watch. So it's not very often I get out to a high school game in the spring. I'm able to go watch more in the fall because we're not playing. But travel ball in the summer is obviously hot and heavy for us. So, yes, I would say it's very doable.
Yeah. Well, I think parents need to hear that, too, that just because we get wrapped up in maybe just being on the high school team, but that's not the only route if they love the sport enough to then make it to that next level if that's what they want to do. Now that there are other avenues to be competitive and sort of grow your skills. At what point, though, Leah, should a young lady, if they say want to specialize at, say, like pitching or, I don't know, another position that would need as much, I guess, extra help as pitching, but kind of like hone in on that and maybe take a gamble on going all in that position?
I personally would say about your freshman year of college, you should kind of know your specialty, what you're good at, what you can excel in, and what you can be, move on to the next level with. I think it's different for every kid. Some kids truly can play multiple positions and be great at all of them. I was not one of those, so by my freshman year of high school, I knew that I was just going to be a pitcher moving forward. And so that's what I stuck with, what I worked out, and ultimately ended up paying off, thankfully. But I feel like most people should know about their freshman year of high school.
One thing I think is cool about softball and baseball, at least in Mississippi, Leah, I feel like most kids, not all kids, but most kids at least get a taste of it through the rec program, right? Like T-ball, little bit of coach pitch. What are those foundation things that starting at something so accessible, that's still accessible, at least the earlier. I know as rec gets on up in the stages, it can change in different places. But I'm talking about kind of like that entry level. Why is it still important for parents just to get them out there, herd cats, watch them hit the little ball, run the bases backwards? What other good things are coming out of that besides just introducing them to a new sport?
Truthfully, I think it helps kids learn what their why is and why they want to do something, whether they want to continue playing that sport or if they want to move on to a different sport. I think it shows them like the bigger picture of things and just the camaraderie that comes with working with a team. I think that's huge, especially for kids now. Like I know for our kids specifically, like they talk about all the time, remember your why, remember your why. Well, that why started whenever they first picked up a ball. And I think that's really big for kids to know and understand is that it's so much bigger than the game of softball or baseball or whatever sport they're playing. And so it helps them whenever they get older to look back on and be like, that kid had so much fun. Like, let me play for her or him or, whatever the situation is. So I think that that's one of the biggest takeaways from rec ball to me personally.
Yeah, I agree with that, too. And just getting to have those memories, and every kid should run the bases the wrong way at least once.
You have to.
You got to have those perfect little videos to carry on. But also it's still a great gateway into just athletes and to sports in general for a lot of kids. And there's a lot of good that goes on in cities to help pour back into those recs as well. But looking forward for you guys there at Mississippi College, like in terms of you're there now. Hopefully we're over the hump of 2020. We won't say that word. We've got a good streak going for the last 3 years. How do you kind of keep that momentum? How do you, Leah, as a coach, kind of keep moving that train forward? So we're talking about you next year and Ole Miss and all the other people who want to make it.
That's right.
We want them all there.
I actually was just talking to my assistant yesterday about getting over the hump of, regionals and super regionals. Like we've done both. Now it's time to get over the hump, figure out the next part of the gritty season that gets you to the Women's College World Series and playing on a national level. That's where MC's headed, and I think that particular part of the season happens in the fall. And so we're trying to build and plan out a fall that prepares them for the national level. And we've got some great things planned for this group. We're super stoked for the group we have coming in. And I think, mental training is going to be a big portion of that, and making them tougher women on the field to be able to compete on a national level is what we're going to build in the fall. And so that's what we're super stoked about, and honestly cannot wait for August to roll around. Give me like 2 weeks when season's over, and I'm like, okay, y'all go home, and then I'm like, okay, y'all can come back.
Y'all can come back and get in and get practicing. When is the season there, or when is college softball season? I guess we're at the end of it now, so is it also spring?
It's spring, yeah. So we have a small fall season. We get like 45 days to practice and play, and we get like 3 or 4 games that we'll play in the fall. And then we start the last weekend of January in 2026, and we'll run through.
Does MC have a softball field?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's on campus.
I would encourage folks, and not wherever you're at, if you've got softball players that are in high school, take them to a college game. Let them see the next, sort of the next level, and support and watch those ladies.
Please, we are welcome to anyone coming out to our games, and we love all the support we can get.
Do y'all play as many as baseball games? Like, is it a heavy schedule?
It is. We played 55 games this year, and we have a 54-game 56 game regular season schedule. So and next year's a heavy home year for us.
Where do we find those schedules?
On GoChoctaws.com.
Go Choctaws. All right. Well, Leah, again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Maybe you'll be back. Well, you won't be back next year because y'all will be at the College World Series.
That's right.
But you'll have to call in and check in on us when you're there.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're just putting that out there into the ether.
Absolutely.
All right, you guys stick with us. We got more for you coming up next.